No. I think Invincible Sucks a Dick was our best title.
I hope to God I got. Yes, it is. Should be recording. Yes, so we did get
Cool.
Invincible sucks a dick.
Episode 390 of the TV Dudes, recorded June 22nd, 2022. Ancient Evil. This week, we're talking about Ancient Evil. We're talking about the strange goings-on of Season 3 of Evil on Paramount Plus, and The Old Man with a Certain Set of Skills in The Old Man on Hulu. We've also got the wrap-up of Obi-Wan Kenobi and the third episode of Ms. Marvel on Disney+. But before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes. Y'all, this was an interesting week for me because the shows we watched were all completely different. We had one show that was on the homework that nobody did the homework but me. Or actually, I think everybody hated the homework but me. And so we took it off the slate, which we don't usually do, but I'm just going to cover it in TV Diaries and try to convince the three of you that you're wrong and this show that we watched is really good and you should watch the rest of it.
I would have left it on there. Let it get roasted.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I'm going to convince you.
Well, actually, I feel like that's some of the shame is I don't have a good roast. Like, it wasn't offensive. It wasn't like...
No, it just didn't grab me.
This thing was bad, or... Yeah, it just wasn't, the...
That's why I'm genuinely interested to hear like Randy's take on it, because comedies work like that sometimes,
I'm gonna convince you that you're wrong and that it's great. maybe not. But before we get to that, I guess the point of that is I'm gonna talk about the TV Diaries, and we're gonna start that right now.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes, brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
And the show that I'm talking about that was on the homework is no longer got demoted from the homework is Rutherford Falls over on Peacock, which I'm honestly a little surprised I have to sell this to you guys because you know that Peacock has been surprisingly good.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Girls Five Eva. They've got Killing It. They have they've been doing some excellent stuff.
Oh my gosh, those are great shows you're naming.
And Rutherford Falls, which is the season 2 came out this week. They dropped all of it. It's a Mike Schur show. Mike Schur is one of the producers of this show.
In air quotes. Come on.
No, he is. Okay, so I went to ATX TV Fest last week. We talked about that. And the co-creator of the show, the co-creators are Ed Helms, who is also a star, and Sierra Tella Ornelas, who is one of the few indigenous show creators in TV. And they very much talked about Mike Schur as if he was involved in this. Like, he is not just like putting his name on it. He is like giving them direction and that kind of thing. Like,
because this doesn't feel like a Mike Schur show.
It does. The more you watch it really does. This feels very Parks and Recs to me. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of like sincerity and hope and humor to it. I feel like this is not. It's not The Good Place. It's not even Parks and Rec, but it's up there with some of what he did on The Office, I think, to be honest with you. And part of that, I think, is that they're doing a thing here. One of the things that I think the things worth noting is that they are doing a thing that nobody else is doing in terms of diversity. I mean, I know we've got Letterkenny, which actually I thought that maybe the inclusion of Letterkenny's Headlow Corn, Feather Day, aka Tanis, might sway you guys in, but I guess he wasn't in enough of the first episode and didn't win you over. I thought that might bring in, but also like the lead character is playing Regan Wells. Is a indigenous woman, and she gets to be sort of the center of a love triangle in this, which they were talking about how some of this stuff never happens on TV. The guy who's running the casino, Terry Thomas, Michael Grey Eyes, he gets to do a Dirty Dancing riff in the first episode, which you guys didn't love the Dirty Dancing riff? That didn't get you at all?
I just didn't
plug in several Dirty Dancing classes.
They were talking about when they're shooting, and again, maybe it's because I saw them at ATX Fest and their enthusiasm for the show carried over into me. They were talking about how like we never get to do this. Like there's never been an indigenous couple dancing to Dirty Dancing on, that's not like a gag or something like that. And then Ed Helms was like, yeah, I kind of felt guilty because it was my character to interrupt in it, but I feel like, am I ruining this moment for you? And I thought that bit was great too, because they're doing a bit with him where he has this season, he's doing the woke white anti-racist thing in an obnoxious way.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like that thing of like him trying to decenter himself when every instinct he has is to center himself is very funny to me.
Yeah, I saw the joke about like, first I read White Fragility, now I'm reading White Fragility, which is about white people being touchy about the book White Fragility.
and the two people from the casinos, the center or whatever it is, who are ghost hunters in the first episode.
Oh yeah,
y'all didn't love them putting out things white people like a Cheers DVD.
Oh,
or the slate of unseasoned chicken.
They're amazing. I love them. If I give this another shot, it'll be for them and The Promise of Tanis.
I feel like I loved all the characters. Like that was definitely a strong point for me.
I also want to put out Bobby Yang, an awesome non-binary character. I think she's great and hilarious. They remind me a bit of Aubrey Plaza's character on Parks and Rec, but instead of being this sort of like sour teenager, they're this weirdly enthusiastic teenager, and it works for me.
They were my favorite bit in the first season. Their weird like hustler empire that they have going.
I don't know why they are so ride or die for Ed Helms, but it is infectious.
Yeah. Can I tell you guys?
I may have to go back and watch the tail end of the first season to get into the slingshot of it.
So one of the things that made this second season work, Bobby Yang runs for mayor. Ooh. And it's great. They are running up against Feather Day, and they are running as sort of a proxy candidate for Terry and for Nathan Rutherford, Ed Helms' character, because Nathan doesn't want to run and Terry can't run, and so they recruit Bobby, and they're just all in immediately. Bobby's like, "Yeah, I'll do it," and there's some really fun stuff with them. At the same time, there's an interesting runner with Nathan Rutherford's character and the ex-mayor, who is now the comptroller or whatever. And I'm going to just go ahead and spoil a couple things. She is pregnant by Nathan Rutherford, and there's a story around what that relationship means for them. And I found that to be a very sweet kind of love story. That felt very Mike Schur to me. Bobby's whole story felt very Mike Schur to me. Terry's whole story of like failing at the one thing he's good at, which is this whole capitalism thing and how he deals with that. I thought that was a very cool Mike Schur thing. I don't know, maybe it didn't come across in the first episode, but I watched that first episode at ATX Fest, and I thought it was more put together than the rest of the first season had been altogether.
I might give it another shot, and frame it in my head as like I'm about to sit down and watch that, not that Ed Helms show, but that show where Bobby runs for mayor of that weird ass town.
Yeah, I think thinking of this as Ed Helms show is a mistake, because I think it's Ed Helms show only in that's how they sold it to the advertisers. They were like, "Hey, remember from The Office? Ed Helms is in this," but he is just barely in. I mean, he is not the lead character in any way. It is definitely Regan Wills and Bobby Yang and Terry Thomas are the lead characters of this show, and I think they're way more interesting and a lot of more fun. So, I thought there was some really interesting stuff this season. It's 8 episodes. It's all I basically binged the whole thing and really, really enjoyed it. Also, I caught up on Hacks. I watched the rest of the season 2 of Hacks, which I thought was great. Had a nice finale. Watched the last episode of Girls 5 Eva. Watched the latest episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Which are y'all caught up on Strange New Worlds? Anyone else watching this?
I'm loving it, but I'm 2 or 3 behind at this point. I think 2 behind at this point.
No, I don't care.
I don't want to spoil the latest episode, but they did space pirates, and they introduced a new character who I thought was one of their best, like in the vein of like Rainn Wilson's Harry Mudd.
Okay.
In terms of like, this is a great recurring bad guy I want to see more of. And I thought that was just a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying that show, and I thought the 5th episode was really notable.
Yeah, it's my favorite Trek going right now, other than Lower Decks.
And then I caught up on Last Week Tonight, which was depressing as hell.
Oh yeah, I can't watch more than 1 episode in a day.
I tend to burn through it 2 or 3 at a time, which is probably not a great idea, but whatever. The world's a trash fire. I can watch John Oliver.
Hey, that's what therapy's for.
All right, that is my TV diaries for the week and my pitch for Rutherford Falls. Kyle, what'd you watch this week?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do my my list in reverse, because I feel like I watched the best stuff towards the end of the week. But did you see PBS?
Wait, you do yours in order?
I try. Well, I've been trying to get better at like remembering it throughout the week because it's usually I'll listen to you guys talk about shows and it's like, oh wait, I watched that too. Or I watched that. I just forgot to write it down. I didn't get credit, but we went to the theater. We actually got this weird. We were both off and had like the nanny, so we got to go to the theater. I think for the first time since the kid, without we got to go one other time. Saw Spider Man and got a babysitter. But no, this is our first time going, and we saw the new Top Gun, which was like a really boss like go to a movie theater experience. Like like I don't know if I'm gonna get the DVD, pop it in, and be like, oh yeah, this is a good movie. Um, but I
No,
know
it,
for like
it it is a movie screen movie, like for sure.
yeah, it I got the feels. It felt like somebody was doing like a cover song version of the first Top Gun, but like doing little riffs and like their own spin on it. And it was like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
this is my
great.
jam. I love that song.
Well, now you're
I
just
mean,
making me think of the Kenny Loggins music video.
literally, it opens with like, jets on the aircraft, Kenny Loggins playing the Jerry Bruckheimer like 90s looking font, like, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
Like,
they were unapologetic about this just being a cover band.
oh yeah, it was fantastic. The other thing that gave me like freaking Ted Lasso feels was the Jon Stewart getting the Mark Twain prize this week. Did you guys see any of that?
Nope.
No.
Oh man, no, there was great. I mean, it's almost like the Oscars, but for one person. They like fill an auditorium with
That
celebrities.
sounds awful.
The thing is, everybody's jokes were kind of geared around like the ridiculousness of it. John Oliver came out and well, he did like he phoned it in, but he literally just talked about how he was so sad that Jon Stewart was dead because there's no way Jon Stewart would let people just compliment him for an hour straight. Like obviously he must have died, and this is in memorandum, and had a whole bit about how Jon Stewart's dead. And it's great because nobody like went too hard with the kissing his ass or being like, you changed my life. Everybody was really funny, got some good roasts in. I think Chappelle was probably the best. Although Olivia Munn was like maybe top 3 for me. Hers was really good.
I'm sorry,
Kind
what
of
was this? A
unexpected.
roast or was it a award ceremony? I don't understand. What was
Yes.
this?
So what happens is, and I'm not sure how often they do it. I saw it last time when Chappelle did it, but PBS airs the Kennedy Center will honor somebody in the arts. I don't know if it's particularly for comedy, or if they have different ones, but I've seen the ones where comedians have been honored. So it's a huge event. They pretty much fill this auditorium up and a bunch of people speak on the person's behalf. And then at the end, like Jon Stewart got to get up there and kind of, give his 2 cents. And it was like the best episode of The Daily Show ever. Like he was just so clear and concise. And I forget who said it, but somebody said like some comedians don't know the difference between a good point and a good joke. And Jon Stewart's different because he comes up with the good point first, and then he can make that a good joke. And yeah, it really resonated with me. It gave me all the feels. I really liked it. Let's see. Floor is Lava 2. Oh, they got like ooze in their lava now. It's way more lava like.
Wait, did they actually name it Floor is Lava 2?
They did, yeah, like it's an anthology series or something.
2 lava, 2 lantula.
Yes.
They also added an aggro crag at the end. So now the very last thing is you have to climb this volcano that has like the lava spewing out of it. And then if you aren't the first to the top, like the whole side of it is a slide, and the losers just have to like slide down into the lava. It looks fun as hell still. And you could tell they learned a lot of lessons from the first season. Like some of the obstacles that were like totally impossible and they didn't realize that until people got there, all that shit was gone. Like everything, like most people could do all of the obstacles, and there was definitely a easy, medium, and hard path. But yeah, and they brought back a lot of the funny people from season 1, which I thought was another fun part of that show. Still going through House of Chocolate, which I'm really enjoying for a lot of the same reason, Floor is Lava or any of that like kind of cheesy reality TV. Although House of Chocolate isn't cheesy. I think it's
no, it's chocolate.
kind of a good play on the format. Then Shannon, my wife, had never seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the 2005 one. and we started reading the book at bedtime with our daughter because right now she can't understand, so it's just we can read her anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, oh man, this tone probably comes off really weird if you haven't heard either somebody read the book good, like I know they did the radio program, or that movie. I feel like is great to kind of get all the characters down. But that's been a fun experience, kind of like reading the book and then syncing it up with the movie. Then I got on Crunchyroll and watched this weird anime called Montreal. It's kind of like Gundam meets Battle Royale with like a little bit of real steel in there. They build this like man-made island off of Montreal, and like these dudes just fight out in the island. But you have like there's this big aspect of it is like they all get these really wealthy like beneficiaries that come in and like hook them up with better parts for their Gundams and stuff. It's kind of
I'm sorry.
exciting. Yeah.
I was lost at the point where you said you willingly went and watched Crunchyroll.
I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
ask that too. What is happening?
No, it just seemed really interesting. Like
We have a Funimation account, which means you went to a whole separate anime thing to watch this.
I may be talking about the Montreal Grand Prix. I just
God damn it, Kyle.
I was like, why would a fucking anime have a fucking Canadian ass name?
Damn it. You know what? He stuck it past me with the fucking anime thing.
Formula One is the Rickroll of this show.
I usually see it coming. Usually you get Nick with it, but this week you got me. Damn it, Kyle.
Is this a cactus?
It's actually a pretty boring
cactus
Grand Prix.
I love that we couldn't even catch it, even though he named the wrong anime service we have. Like, it's like, oh, right.
Because I was thinking that too. Of like, did you have?
Why do you have a Crunchyroll account? What the fuck?
I don't even know. I've just seen the icon. I just made all that up. I just thought it was cool that they were racing on a man-made island. These billionaires just all right, I won't talk about it anymore.
You know what? Slowly but surely, this is what this podcast is going to turn into. Every week, Kyle's going to talk about talk shows and F1 that no one else has watched. Nick is going to talk about anime no one's watched. Les and Nick are going to talk about movies no one should watch.
I would do that once a month. God damn.
And I'm going to talk about comedies that no one watches. We should talk about shows people watch
or no one finds funny.
No, we're like Captain Planet, like I can be the fire dude, you can be the water dude.
Heart.
Well, there's only 4 of us, so nobody has to sit on that grenade. We can all get badass powers.
Kyle, if you don't think you're Heart, you are sadly mistaken.
I just assumed the show was going to slowly turn into like just wrestling, F1 game shows.
Yeah, I think that's probably
actually accurate. Not to segue. Apparently, Vince McMahon got into like some real life trouble. Did you guys hear about this?
No.
Yes, I heard a little bit about it.
Please tell me it was with Ezra Miller. Let all these things come to just funny. Some like if you told me point? that like not Hawaii, like they don't need that shit, but like some tiny man-made island somewhere, then just let all the problem celebrities fight it to death.
Some sort of weird like battle royale.
Yes, Carlin style.
I think there was like an affair, and then there was a payout to the person from WWE, which is publicly traded. So now he has to step down, and he was going to try to do like a character thing where he's going to come out and like as his Vince McMahon character and do a whole thing. And at the last minute, they like got him, and we're like, no, dude, this is.
See, I never get that of like, why? I know it makes sense to you always use somebody else's money, but when you're doing a cover up, why involve your business?
Yeah.
Why not leave that as an untraceable, your own pool of money thing?
Well, and with a grain of salt, I'm getting this secondhand from the podcast. This is what the people are talking about. We haven't gotten Reuters to verify it. But yeah, from people who like wrestling way more than me are saying that it's his daughter who's now in charge.
Oh shit.
Vince McWoman?
What's that?
Nothing. It wasn't worth it.
Just sell it to Tony. It's an AEW property now.
There you go.
We know way too much about wrestling.
No, the only other thing that I've been watching, obviously I watch Colbert all the time, and then Jimmy Kimmel just started his like in the summer. He gets guest hosts on there. I'm embarrassed. I don't know this guy's name. He was on Will and Grace, and he's like sitcom famous.
Oh,
God, what is this dude's name? But he is he did
I know who
this
you're
week,
talking about,
and
though.
yeah, it wasn't that bad. I didn't watch the whole thing, but what I did watch was pretty good. Yeah, those are my TV diaries.
All right, Nick. What weird shit did you and Les watch this week?
Only Outcast, really. Les is still getting. We haven't gotten back to the groove where we watch an extra bad movie along with whatever we're doing for Patreon.
No, the Cage movies have been
So-
covering it, so
Yeah, the Cage movies have been scratching that itch for us, basically. I mean, they're no Jet Bryant films.
no, they are not. They are not.
Do you think at this point we're all comfortable going to Nick Cage and saying we've seen more Nick Cage movies than you have?
Oh no, I think he's seen all of these. I bet he could still quote
No,
lines from
I
them.
bet you we remember more than he does. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
bet you he's seen all of his fucking movies.
There's a special room where they run on loop.
You know how there used to be like I think Kevin Sorbo is probably a bad example, but like the diehard Hercules fans who would go to a convention to see Kevin Sorbo and mention that like one episode that he can't. What if that was Nick Cage and it was all these movies and people like, remember when you had sex with your ghost daughter in that one movie before you set yourself on fire?
And you know what he would say? You know what he would say? He would say, "Yeah, I remember," and then he'd say, "Oh, movie? Oh no, I didn't do that in a movie."
Yeah.
So
Also, you should have used Xena the Warrior Princess as a reference point there, Kyle. Like, no
I
one
couldn't remember her
remembers fucking
name.
Hercules.
Lucy Lawless?
Lucy Lawless.
jack of all
Yes,
trades.
that's a way better cultural touchstone.
Edit this back in. So, something like Xena Warrior Princess. And like, Lucy
Like if you get a
Lawless,
chance to meet
know?
Bruce Campbell and
Seamless.
you bring up like one specific Briscoe County episode,
Yeah.
like you're just being
Yeah,
weird.
what the fuck?
Well, the thing is, Briscoe, I think, only had a couple seasons. Xena and Hercules, those went like 100+
Yeah.
episodes. Those were like Star Trek or
Well, those were
TNG.
CW superhero shows before those existed.
Totally.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Anything else there, Nick?
I don't remember. What were we talking about?
Talk about what you watch on what you
I
watched
was just
this week.
interrupting your TV diaries.
Oh, I didn't even start. That's right. I watched. I finished off The Offer, which
I
was
need to
very
watch
good.
the rest of that. I need to watch the rest of that.
Yes, it's finishes strong as well. Like I was surprised how much of how fast the actually making of the Godfather part was. Like them actually shooting it was not very. Like I think it's like 2 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's the how you market it and the release and all that is with the tail end of it, and then gearing up for the sequel. And then what's his name is his work on. He's trying to work with Burt Reynolds on
Longest
getting,
Yard.
the Longest Yard made, and it's solid. I really appreciated how good that show was, considering that shows about Hollywood tend to get, I don't know, they can be
Circle
super
jerk.
cheesy or
Yeah.
up their own ass a lot of the time. This one got that perfect balance of it's what an insane fucked up job this is. I would not do anything else. This is magic. Dichotomy. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched The Godfather after that, which was pretty cool.
Oh, I
And
bet, yeah.
it puts that whole Jimmy Kahn beat 'em up scene with the whatever his face is into complete context
Mm-hmm.
of like, ooh, that did look like a right hit. Oh, I don't think that trash can was supposed to. Is that a dent in there?
That trash can lid keeps changing shape, man. What the shit?
That is not what we rehearsed.
Let him go.
I also caught up on Last Week Tonight. And instead of watching Star Trek, I watched The Orville instead. Which they...
Any of the comedy come back?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot lighter than the previous Isaac Kills Himself episode. But I mean, but you could only really go up from there.
That's fair.
Yeah, they actually hit back at one of the previous episodes that they did in a cool way, where it was like a time differential, and they actually touch on immortality and the concept of death in a way I've never actually seen a show actually do, which I thought was actually pretty interesting by the end of it. And Bortus gets to be on the main crew this time around, and he's my favorite. So
Oh, yeah.
I was definitely happy. I'm like, yeah, Bortus is back. Love that guy. And then I finished what was it? No, caught up on The Boys, the latest episode with Soldier Boy, the whole flashback and all that shit.
I'm way behind on that too, I think. I've got a bunch of stuff to catch up on.
Oh yeah, The Boys is really solid this season yet again, and it really is. It is really what Invincible should have been, but
yeah, I get that.
Failed to be.
I get
for
that.
Me.
Yeah, I get that for sure.
And then I watched the first episode of Umbrella Academy this morning.
Checking that out too.
Yeah, it's great. It starts off strong with a dance battle.
Nice.
And then a battle.
Okay, all right, that's good.
And then more battles, and then more fighting, and then more weird stuff. And yeah, I think the one thing I have a complaint about it is that in these time travel stories, especially when people are at time travel, this is season 3, and yet when they're in this alternate timeline, what's her name? Rumor wants to go and find her daughter, like, and her husband. I'm like, they don't fucking exist. This is a different timeline, you fucking moron. How many times do we have to do this for you to, like, get it? But they spend an embarrassing long amount of time pretending that her kid and them, like, still exist in this same universe, and just everything else is different. Like, I don't know why 5 just doesn't break it down for, like, because 5 would just go like, you fucking moron, like, your kid doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But also, lest they also do the thing of where we like in time travel stories, where like, okay, we change the timeline, the Earth is saved, it's still kind of fucked up, but should we change it more? Is this good enough? Like,
yeah.
We kind of technically won. Maybe we leave it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my TV days.
All right, Les?
So I watched, because Lisa had it on and I was wandering in and out of the room for a while. I watched parts of Web of Make-Believe, Death Lies in the Internet, episodes 1 through 3. They're on Netflix, I think. And it's basically everything that isn't catfishing that's creepy as fuck about the internet. So it's, one woman is, like, clearly getting further into neo-Nazism than she realizes, and then realizes it and is still in it, and it's just a complete moron. It's just a bunch of, like, creepy ass, like, oh shit, how the fuck is that possible? Like, yay, internet. So yeah, if you want to be, freaked out by a Dateline style kind of thing, it's creepy. I think even Lisa stopped at episode 3 and was like, oh, these are good, but also I have to stop watching this. This is bad. Watched The Homework, Old Man 1 and 2, Rutherford Falls 1, and then first couple of Evils. On Father's Day, I watched most of How High, because my dad loved that movie, and it was a hilarious discovery on his DVR. And I was like, dude, do you also have seen Method Man and Redman's movie? It's like, yeah, I love that movie. Great. We're watching it right now. So yeah. Watched a sci-fi movie I saw at Fantastic Fest that I got a screener for called Glass House. I have an interview with the director and writer, Kelsey Egan. Post-apocalyptic sci-fi, but the look of it isn't like really any other thing I've seen. And the plague they're dealing with causes like really high-grade dementia, and it just makes for one of the creepiest apocalypses. Really neat movie. Watched Outcast, of course, which we'll discuss. Watched another movie that is not released yet called Way Out Ahead of Us, that I'm not sure how much I could say about, except that it was beautifully shot. Really pretty movie. Watched The Offer, then watched Godfather Part 2, which is fucking amazing, but only because The Godfather exists. Like that, I don't think that movie could fully stand alone. Somebody's probably want to fight me over that, but whatever. Godfather 1 is superior. Then, I don't know if y'all have heard about, so NBC Peacock has been making really good shows lately. Randy, this might be of interest to you.
Uh-huh.
So, Lisa was we were looking around for something to watch the other night, and threw on The Thing About Pam, which I don't know that I agree with all their tone choices, but that show is bananas. It is Renee Zellweger in an extreme amount of prosthetics, playing this crazy Midwestern woman, Pam Hupp. and Judy Greer is the DA in the town, and basically, like, this woman clearly killed her best friend, who she had definitely, like, taken over, or just was running her life. And, I mean, like, killed the shit out of her, like, stabbed her, like, 56, 57 times. And the husband goes to jail for it because, like, the cops decide it's the husband, and the DA decides to believe the cops, and then very quickly, no one wants to admit they're wrong or reverse course. And so, like, you watched, like, the husband's lawyers just in court, like, am I taking fucking crazy pills? Like, how is none of, like, the DA went to junior high with the judge. Like, everybody knows each other. The whole jury is out drinking with the DA the night. Like, there's no, it's just, this guy gets completely fucked over on this. And then Dateline gets involved. So there's, like, also 3 Dateline episodes about this. It's a true story. The tone of it is so weird. There's a narrator who makes it sound like a Christmas story or a storybook or a bedtime story, like, or it's almost like they're gonna freeze frame on it and, like, these Duke boys sure are going down for that double homicide. Because it's a very, like, when do you know when a goodbye is the last goodbye? Like, you're making this too friendly. What the shit? Yeah, Zellweger is insane. I'm enjoying I've got 2 left in the season, I think. 3 left maybe in the season. 6 episodes. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Definitely worth at least 1 episode's watch, because I guarantee you were not expecting the tone of this thing.
Did you say it was based on a true story?
Yes.
Or just in the... Oh.
And there's so apparently the it's Blumhouse co-produced it, but all, like, apparently the comedic tone of it caught some negative reviews because it is a real murder, and I'm not sure that they've nailed Pam. I'm not wanting to look it up and spoil it, though. I believe Hulu or Peacock, one of the two, also has the Dateline episodes like about this. So after you're done watching it, you can go watch, like, the actual news coverage of this. But yeah, it's a trip. I'm enjoying it. I'm partly caught up on The Boys. I watched a few episodes. Holy crap, they don't slow down at all on that show. Jesus Christ. That first episode's exploding Ant-Man. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like the Thanos theory proven.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that the writers of The Boys looked at that and was like, oh, that's a good idea.
That's a great idea. Hey, take notes. Yeah. And then a completely different direction on superhero shows. I watched the most recent couple of episodes of Supes and Lois, which is merging the Bizarro world with the regular world. With they're fighting Parasite. Superboy's coming fully into his, like, Jordan's coming fully into his powers and can do. He's not good at it. Like, he can't land worth a fuck and crashes through mountains and shit, but he can fly. And it's really great to watch. I'm enjoying the hell out of the show.
You gotta learn how to fly before you learn how to land.
Right. Well,
I think
the whole learning to fly thing was pretty great too. like you'll fly down and catch me if I can't do it, right, Dad? You'll be fine.
Well,
and,
yeah,
like, you just realize, like, Clark won't lie to him, but he won't, like, you'll be fine. Yeah, I love Supes and Lois. It's great.
It's the best way to learn, son.
Yep. Hitting the ground from several miles up. Yeah, that's my diaries.
All right, cool. This is a good place to remind you that you can go support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us a buck an episode. In exchange, we get to keep with our streaming services, pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, Cage Match continues with Outcast. We're 6 of 8 movies in, and I feel like I'm approaching the finish line, and I'm very, very glad about that. We'll talk about that. If you want to hear us talk about Nicolas Cage movies, that's what you can get our Patreon for. We also have our $20 showrunner level. So if there are shows you want to throw in the rotation, you can buy it at that level. Give us a couple of ideas. Last week we talked about House of Chocolate. You've successfully put Kyle onto that, Max. And there's some other stuff in the queue.
What type of other stuff could they make us watch, Randy? Like, what specifically?
Make us watch
live action stuff would be great.
Wrestling matches or live action. Also, I believe Formula 1 races involve real people.
Well, if you want to split the difference, I know there's a couple racing anime I could suggest, like IGPX, where they race battle bots.
You know what? If someone makes us watch F1, it's going to hurt Nick more than me. So I'm whatever. I'm good with it. We can.
Or Redline. Not Redline's a movie. Damn it.
So let's jump over and talk about Evil Season 3, which Les, I know I wanted to hold this a week. We were originally going to talk about this last week, but I know that you and I are big fans of this. Remind me where you came down on Season 2, because I think I came down in sort of I like it, but the Kings do not know how to hold together a fucking story arc to save their life.
No, they can't. Like the show is infuriating and does like their most self-indulgent things that they do, from Good Fight and everything and their other shows. Like, and at the same time, like I can't not watch Evil. I love this show. It is fucking insane, and they never land a single story like that. Like I don't, if whatever they advertise in the commercial, they're gonna bring it up, and then never get around to finishing that story, ever, and it will never come up again. And like that's, the only way that I can no prize it away is that it makes me laugh that the evil that they're trying to fight is so prevalent and so winning that basically every week they're like, oh, I guess that's on fire too. Okay. Now it's seen me.
Because the story,
moving on.
The story arc stuff is like the mythology stuff.
It's
like
insane.
It just doesn't make any sense. But the week to week stuff and the characters are so good that I forgive it every time.
Asif Mandi is fucking amazing.
He's great.
Her whole thing, having murdered a dude, and like her thing with, and then they're constantly getting besieged with more demons. Andrea Martin's in the, is it Andrea Martin?
Yeah, it's Andrea Martin.
The old nun. She's in the main credits now, as is her psychiatrist,
Kurt Fuller. Yeah.
Schlimmer. Kurt Fuller.
Yeah.
And I was glad to see both of them added to the main cast this season. And I feel like things are accelerating. Like whatever they're working towards, which they've only done like literally steps 1 and 2 of a 10-step plan over and over and over and over and over. But if this show's really building to something, I think it's going to be nuts. Either way, I can't look away. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I feel like they got back to some interesting stuff. The whole thing with like him and Kristen finally hooking up and it not being Kristen. And then they do nothing with that in the second episode. Like they barely even reference it. I'm like, guys, that seemed
now
important.
He's got the when they bring on Wallace Shawn and kill him and like now he's like, at first I thought, oh my God, you've just started releasing people without a soul, like Paul Giamatti in Cold Souls. But no, it's like he loses
some of the pitch meetings.
Yeah, like he loses a demon.
Sir, like that was several scenes ago. We're past.
We're past that now. I need to get all the way off my back about that. Yeah, and then somebody else picks up the demon, and then that woman is now haunting Luke Cage.
Right.
Like when he goes to bed now, like that nun sitting in the corner of his fucking room, because the show is creepy.
Yeah.
And also hilarious.
Yeah.
It is also just funny as shit.
Like I also
like absurd.
I loved her daughters messing with Leland. Like they're like, who's this? Oh, that's Leland pretending to be a kid. Like they all know and they all get on and start messing with him. And again, episode 2, nowhere to be found. It's just gone.
Yeah.
But the episodes themselves are really good. The weird plots are good. This reminds me of what I loved about X-Files, but it also reminds me of what drove me crazy about X-Files.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's what it sounds like, is like old school X-Files.
Yeah, it does. And
it is one of the weirdest plotted shows, and I'm so happy it's back.
Yeah. It's really, really good and also infuriating.
Yeah. Oh, I love the secret Vatican Society, the friend of the Vatican. That shit is great to me. Like I love that the good plan, like the good cabal and the evil cabal, basically work the same. And if you're just a soldier, you feel the same.
Possible to tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's I'm glad I'm glad it's back, and I'm really enjoying it. But I also would love it if at some point it made some goddamn sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
No, probably not.
I feel like the Kings are getting I feel like the Kings do other shows maybe and make a list of things that you could never do.
Yeah, and they're just like, do that on Evil.
And then they just go, and that's become this show.
Oh, I think you're right.
I love that that's just a solid note. I'm like, just a slight note. Maybe things could make sense. Just putting that out there.
No,
like
a shoe gets thrown at the person, and they're like, fine.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just saying maybe. Whatever.
You said you're such a sweet young thing, and why you do this to yourself? She looked at me, and this is what she said. She said there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed, and ain't nothing in this world for free. No, I can't slow down, I can't hold back. Oh, you know, I wish I could. Because there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good.
All right, let's divert over to The Old Man on Hulu.
Well, this show makes relentless sense.
I'm really curious what y'all thought about this. Did y'all all watch this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle, why don't we hear from you first? You didn't talk much on Evil. I want to know what you thought of this one.
Oh my gosh, I feel it's like I don't know how anybody falls down, so I'm either about to get like completely ridiculed, or I think I'm gonna get a sea of like, yeah, I agree. But I thought this was John Wick meets Old Man Logan. Like, I really dug this. It took a second for me to get into it. I'm like, I don't need to listen to the water run for 2 minutes, on a black screen. Like, okay, come on, what are we doing here?
Kyle.
But
I totally agree.
when it
I actually like this too.
Les, where were you on this?
Yeah, when
Same.
it gets into it.
I liked it as well. I watched it with Fanny, and she was like, it's really slow. I was like, this is actually fast paced for most spy shows.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
Sadly enough, that's
the
true.
thing. I think I wasn't sure about it when it started out. I was like, I love Jeff Bridges, but I already know what the conceit of the show is, and I feel like we should be into it already. But all that slow setup really pays off.
Les, what was that show we watched with Toni Collette? That fucking where she sliced that dude's neck with that
shit!
knife.
What was that called?
Earlier this year. Yeah.
Yep.
I know what you're talking about. It was on Netflix.
This show also has a moment like that.
Pieces of Her.
This show,
Pieces of Her.
Okay. This show has that moment too with Jeff Bridges, where the guy is in his house and he comes down with a gun, and I'm like, okay, well, most people can like have a gun and come down. When he puts the guy on the ground, and then he asks, like, he commands the dog, and the dog goes right to his neck. Yeah. What the fuck? You have to train a dog to like,
and not in English.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, in German or something. Yeah. And then he's like, "What's your name?" Yeah, never mind, I don't care. And then plugs him, and then puts fingerprints on him. I'm like, okay, who the fuck is this guy?
And the choice of the shot up, like, he shoots the guy and it doesn't immediately kill him. He puts two in his neck. And so the whole time he's searching the body,
I thought he put him in his lungs, because we watch him drown in his own blood.
Like, when they show it again, he's at least, like, red all up in it. But yeah, you're watching, like, the camera up at Jeff Bridges ransacking his body while he gurgles on the floor. Yeah. And it's so vicious. And in such a dark room, it's not like they showed you all the gore.
What's freaky about that moment is that an old man who we're led to believe is like kind of senile walks down the stairs, has a gun on an intruder, and doesn't immediately kill him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the scary part. It's like, oh, wait, why is this guy not scared? Like, why is he not acting like a irrational Trumper right now?
And I like the establishment that, like, he is slipping a little bit, but slipping for him still puts him 50 steps ahead of you. And so, like, yeah, he should be 60 steps ahead of you, but
there's also a great moment later in the show when when they're tracking him down. They think they've lost him, and they're reporting back, and they're like, oh, we just lost an old man, and then he just slams back in. I'm like, oh
those
no,
fights
he
are
wasn't just
nasty
losing you.
Too.
That's where the show really had me, because John Lithgow is really good in this.
John Lithgow's
he
great
gives
in this.
him a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
he's like, okay, I'm gonna help you fucking escape, because if you get caught, then a bunch of shit I did is gonna come to the surface too. So if I have to come after you, I'm not taking you alive.
Yeah.
So the best thing for you, and then I have to answer why you're dead.
Yep.
So best thing for all of us is if I don't find you.
Yeah.
So just fucking disappear and never see your daughter again, and she'll be safe, you'll be safe, I'll be good. This will all go away. And or you can come after me and try and fight back, and that's gonna get fucking ugly. So you see Jeff Bridges really struggle with this decision of, like, he calls his daughter, and the daughter is like, "Fuck that, fuck them."
I love that.
Yep.
That was that whole phone call was brutal.
So
Fuck.
let me ask you about the daughter, because did he fake her death? Because they say
That's what I was about to ask you. Who is he talking to on the phone?
I think it's more interesting if he is imagining that.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. It's like, is she even real? Is he talking to no one on that phone?
Because then he really has nothing to lose. Then Lithgow is fucked.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any leverage on this
or
guy.
He's fucking with him. Like, that's the other thing. Like, what if he goes and does all this compromising stuff, and then he gets there and it's like, you don't have a daughter?
No,
like,
I don't think he knows that. I don't think Lithgow's in on that. I think there's a possibility that he has talked. I think there's two possibilities. One, I think that he faked her death, and that's what they're leading to. They're trying to find her. But also, my first thought when I heard that is, oh, she's dead, and he is hallucinating this whole thing.
Right. Well, I mean, they open up the show with dementia, so you're kind of like wondering, what if this is, and he's seeing his wife. He's seeing his dead wife a lot.
And also, in the second episode, he does that whole thing where he kills both the cops and then kills Amy Brenneman's character. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, oh, okay, hallucination.
Dude, they don't play that like a dream sequence.
They do not.
At all.
They do not.
No, but then they do cop out on it though. Then like they take it back immediately.
I actually liked it because it showed this is what I'm gonna do if this goes sideways.
Yeah.
It eliminated the thing of like, would he kill her? Right. He would.
And he did have the knife out, like, and I believe that is the speed he'd have done it.
Poor Amy Brenneman. You guys have seen Heat, right?
Oh God.
Amy Brenneman just keeps falling for the wrong guy that just does not appreciate her. Because also in this show, they have her. She's cast as this divorcee who had this rough divorce, and her husband's off with somebody else, and he's happy and she's miserable. And I'm like, who the fuck leaves Amy Brenneman looking like that at that age? What is wrong with that guy?
I wish they'd explain. I go get a different, like, as soon as she was that, like, weird, like, she definitely marked you, like, even when she still hated him and wanted him to move out, like, why would you not go book another place, like, sincerely, like,
it sounds like it's a very
it felt a little plot
tense
armored
relationship. You're like shorting alimony for just to be a dick, and
but he didn't know any. I mean, of that, there was within the context of like the badass that he is, and the real needs going on with his daughter and the military and all that, like, or whatever's going on in his head, and then maybe that's part of the daughter not being real.
Yeah,
is this need for connection can be a little more indulged, but it was the only thing where I had a moment of like, I feel like you're staying here because we need the plot of Amy Brennan's character helping you. But on the path you're on, escaping the fucking military, man, get another Airbnb.
Yeah, she's a real liability here.
Story-wise, if the daughter is dead, she provides that thing of like, okay, well, this is a collateral damage that we can be worried about if the daughter is actually dead.
Here's somebody for,
I think which kind of sold me on the maybe the daughter is dead, because normally shows I would say nah, fake death, but this one I'm not so sure about. Oh man, the deaths on this are fucking slow and brutal, and
God, that fight on the roof of that car, or inside that car, Jesus.
And then inside the car, and then outside of the car, and then
who are you?
Yeah.
And he's like, and then he just sicks the dogs on him.
Yeah, man,
I loved when the guy got him in the car before the dogs could get there, like, and he shuts the door.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, shit, there goes your dogs,
dude.
They're
your dogs.
And then when it came back, it was like, oh.
Yeah, them puppers didn't stop following.
But then Bridges knows that, well, all I have to do is crash this car and the dogs will catch up.
Man, that crashed car scene was so good. Like the guy flipping over, and then there's a knife fight in the car. Like that was shot so well. The action sequences on the show are really fantastic.
That in the middle of that fight, he was just, "Who the fuck are you?"
Yes,
This whole show, kind of in the same, differently shot, but in the same vein as Hannibal. It is gorgeous in a way that it goes above and beyond the call here. Like, it's so
love the
beautifully
black
shot.
Screens with one patch of light in there.
Well, like the first episode, it opens with the red alarm clock in the middle of the room, and it ends with the red of the or right near the end, like red of the tail out of the car after he's walking away when he's decided like fuck it.
Yeah,
like there's just a lot of like just really nice shots in this.
Yeah, well, that first episode is a great ending point where, because he's saying like, hey, you left a silencer on a body you were trying to pass off as a robber. Like, you're slipping, man. Would I even recognize you? Just take the deal. Like, you're not what you
recognize me now.
Yeah.
That's 3. Any more you send at me, I'm sending back in bags. Anyone you send at my kid, I'm sending back in pieces. Do you recognize me now?
And he walks out. Fuck, that was rad. That was so good.
We've talked so much about Jeff Bridges, and he's great in this, but man, Lithgow is killing it as his adversary. He's so good.
Okay, the casting director that found their 2 young counterparts.
Yes,
they're perfect.
They're perfect. Yep. When they both get to talk to each other in the desert, it's like watching 2 people do the most perfect, subtle. I mean, to play young Jeff Bridges, you're gonna have to do a bit of a Jeff Bridges impersonation. Let's be real. And then Lithgow's got his own thing. And it's wild. The guy playing Lithgow creeps me out sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm amazed.
I loved Lithgow facing down the operator, the guy, the head of the operator team, and he's like, do you know what my title is? Do I seem like someone you want to fuck with?
No, sir. And quit staring at me before I start getting the idea I'm being fucked with.
Like, he's also a dude he's also a kind of a scary dude.
Yeah.
And he got out of the game. Like, he's an FBI.
When he tells him in the desert, like, when you're wrong, I'm the one that's going to have to come and kill you.
Yeah.
And, like, seems to fully believe he could do it.
Yeah.
I also like that Jeff Bridges is a goddamn just fucking horror story.
Yeah. Aaliyah Shawkat has a small bit here, but I think she's really good in this role, and I'm expecting more from her as they go on. Her sort of, like, diehard loyal to this guy, and I'm curious how that's going to play in when she starts seeing exactly what he's doing.
I do like that the top agent there that's fucking with him and trying to turn her against him is doing his best to sound like John Bernthal for some reason.
Right?
I thought that too.
Yeah.
It's like, why is the Punisher on the other end of the phone with you?
Rick.
Let me ask you something, man.
Yeah, this was I honestly, I was about 10 minutes into it, and I'm like, oh shit, is this gonna be one of these really slow shows that I don't like? But it really grabbed me.
Yeah, it takes about 10 minutes to like get to that mark where you're like, okay, I see what they're doing.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready for dessert? Double desserts? Did anyone else watch Miss Marvel?
For sure.
I only got about 15 minutes of it today. Like, I'm enjoying it. I just didn't sit and finish it.
You know I'm a Marvel slut.
No, wait. Les, you mean you got 15 minutes of episode 3 or 15 minutes of episode 1?
3.
Okay, good.
No, I'm enjoying the show so far.
So you've seen the big reveal then, because we can talk about that.
I know about the.
Yeah, remember when we were arguing about whether she was going to be a mutant or inhuman? Well, fucking
wow,
jokes
we were
on
way
us.
off.
Holy
jokes
shit,
on us,
y'all! Do y'all know what that is? That is from a 1994
That's the Nord Dimension. It's the
by Alan
fucking clandestine
Davis.
back in the day.
That's a reference back to the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this was clandestine is what they are, which, by the way, I looked this up because I only read the first issue of it. I barely know this. But the clandestine are Jinn, which is such a perfect fit for Miss Marvel. I don't know if that was Sana Amanat, who's co-creating who's on the show, or someone else at Marvel, but whatever person went, hey, what if she's clandestine? Was a fucking genius, because it fits perfectly with her culture and that kind of
genius.
Thing. A genius, if you will. But also, like, no one saw that coming. Marvel has none of that shit in print. It is a comic that came out 30 years ago. Like, there were
a clandestine is.
There were like a dozen issues. It was canceled. It is not a thing people, and they have just, I mean, this is a little mercenary of me, but as a comic shop owner, they have just sold me, they've just got me a whole bunch of sales on comics if they put it out as a trade of a thing that no one was ever going to read again. And if I was a guy who did back issues, I'd be delighted because I guarantee you Clandestine 1 is like shooting up in value right now. What a fucking great idea.
Just not even for people trying to make money off of it, but just be like, no, I need to know what the fuck this is.
What is this? Yeah.
Right.
But
just one person trying to find it and type it into the fucking MCU wiki.
But the thing about Ms. Marvel from the outset here has been it's not very similar to the comics in terms of plot. I mean, the bad guy's different, her powers are different. There's a lot the story of Nakia running for like all this stuff is original to the MCU, but it still feels
the core is the same.
It still feels like the Ms. Marvel comic in all the ways that matter. And so I'm getting this new thing that is also this old thing I love.
I am genuinely impressed.
I am blown away by how good this show is. And the other thing is like they spend so much time on the non-powered stuff of the what it means to have a federal agency invading a mosque and what it means like what a Pakistani wedding looks like and all this kind of stuff that the superpowers are almost ancillary to it. Like it's a good show without the superpowers and continues to be that.
Yeah. No, I think that's what makes the show so strong. And I think they need to do that because the powers were going to be like, well, we can't use their powers exactly like what they are in the comic.
Yeah.
So let's make the focus of this more on her and the style of it. So the powers could be anything. Like it's And then, Bruno really sitting her down and be like, okay, so you can't just tell me that you're alive after a text and then just get a solid 8 hours of sleep.
Yep.
Just fuck off.
I also love that she's basically like, hey, Bruno, you're smart, you know science things. How do I build an extra dimensional portal? And he's like, let me work on it. That's...
He did like, well, actually, now that you mention it, Dr. Selvig did write that one thing one time.
Loved it.
A little cheese ball there. He's not the guy in the chair. He's the guy at the counter.
I was telling Les they should get together the guys in the chairs for when the new Avengers gets up, and Ned and Bruno should hang out.
Yes,
and like they should be playing. What did you say, Les? They should be playing D&D.
Yeah, or some kind of role playing game.
Yeah, I agree.
Some insanely complicated board game or something.
Vision technically can be guy in the chair because he was Jarvis, so he should be there.
That's true. He can be the DM. I really love her parents. I think that her mom has the easier job of being the sort of the strict parent, and she gets to say the parenty things. But her dad's like weird mix of being so supportive, but also like he's just such a genuine guy. His bit with Bruno where he goes and gets the fruit pie from him. I love that character so much.
He is such a guileless fucking... He is such a unambiguous, cheerful, and good person. His vice is fruit pies.
Yeah.
That's his... That's what it's like. He's really... I wish I could quit them, but goddamn if they just don't taste so synthetic. The mom, I'm sure, like, okay, so the mom knows more than she's letting on about this and why she's being such a dick about going to see grandma. And I do like that the grandma too was like, hey, did you see that train? What? How do you know about the... Hey, you gotta come.
I have a theory that the mom maybe was privy to some of the abilities, but then it was kept from her. Like she wanted in on it and she wasn't allowed it. So now she's like, well, fuck all y'all.
Maybe. I have a feeling she doesn't know the extent of it. I think she probably just thinks her mom abandoned her or whatever.
I'm interested to see where that damage control thing goes.
Yeah, me too.
Where, because now the Jinn, if you will, the clandestine, they're within damage control's purview,
right?
And are they going to escape?
But aren't they instantly going to tell her about? I mean, they have. The lead woman basically said, she's like, why would I help someone who betrayed me? They have no reason not to tell them about Kamala.
Right. Unless they need her for that portal thing and they're planning on getting her herself, then they don't want to give her up.
Yeah,
but
maybe so.
Like, that would be the only reason I can see not to tell them about Kamala is that, like, no, we still need her and we need her with us and not with these damage control guys. And they're going to break out or something.
I loved all the weapons and stuff they were using. I thought that was a really fun fight scene.
Well, all those people that were so cool a minute ago, like, you were generally kind of nice people, and now you're, like, mean.
Yeah.
Turned on a dime.
Yeah, they did.
Also, that fight scene with her powers where she's moving around and, like, kicking out and using the force for momentum going underneath tables, and then the giant hand. I'm like, God, this is such a great choreographed fight.
Yeah, they changed her powers, but the powers they gave her are just they feel right. The big swinging fist that hits like 3 of them. That's a Miss Marvel move, and I loved it.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, that's a Miss Marvel, because it's a kid move of like what a kid like. I want to hit you with a big fist.
Yep. Yeah.
I want to make my fist big and hit you.
Yeah. This show is great. It's a 6-episode, right? Another 6-episode one from them. So we're halfway through, but
they're keeping these short, and I think very smartly.
I'm really excited to see her enter the larger Marvel universe, and I think this is such a great origin. I'm glad this is a show and not a movie, because it would have been really hard for them to do this well in 2 hours, or as we all know, 3.5 hours.
They would have had to cut a lot of the mask stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's really important that's in there.
That was probably some of my favorite stuff.
Oh yeah, that was great. The Nakia like standing up to damage control and basically telling him like, no, you can't come in here. Come back with a warrant. That was fantastic.
Hey, where's your warrant? Oh, you don't have one? Well, then fuck off.
Yep, that was great.
Take off your shoes next time.
I'm a council member. We haven't even elected yet. Like, almost. Come on. 2 votes. Like, I'm going to win.
All right. Let's talk about the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know you guys love talking Star Wars.
Sure.
Hell yeah.
Is this just me and Kyle?
I was just talking with Les. We were talking about Star Wars earlier today.
We did.
What did you say?
We did.
Oh, let's not get into that.
I said that the main reason not to do an Obi-Wan show is that there's no way it can't butt up against the dumbest contradictions for me in the heart of the Star Wars universe, and it just will.
Like Les said, it really only works if you imagine that Ben Kenobi in New Hope is just getting out of being dead ass drunk.
Yeah, I love that.
Like that works. That really works. Yeah.
Like he sobers up in the middle of that movie and is like, "Fuck it, Annie, kill me."
Yeah.
He's just really dehydrated from living in the desert.
That's why he vanished. Yeah.
I'm curious. Did y'all watch all of this?
I did.
Well, yeah.
Okay. You did.
No, Les is just making fun of it because I was telling him about it.
Okay.
But
no, I've not seen a stitch of this. I've only seen 2 memes about it.
I thought it ended okay. I think that final fight with Vader and Kenobi was very good. It was definitely a lot better choreographed than their previous fight.
Right.
Showed a lot of like the power not only of Vader and Kenobi. It was very emotional. It had everything they really could want out of a confrontation with Obi-Wan and Vader that we imagined when we were kids. I think that was very good. I think it was really weird when they tried to put the Anakin voice and Vader voice together when the helmet got cut off.
Yeah.
They did that in Rebels too, but
that.
I think it came off different in Rebels. Like this one felt like you are really showing me how distinctly 2 different people these characters are, because you didn't sell me on Anakin in the prequels.
They added a 3rd voice too, which is they sampled the voice effects from Return of the Jedi from when the mask comes off and he's like choking. Oh. So it was technically going from Anakin to,
I thought it was just a halfway
Vader
between Anakin and Vader. I guess that's kind of smart too.
It would be like, well, I guess that was kind of like just the sound effects, but they added all that like wheezing and like the busted sounds too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also, Obi-Wan is terrible at killing Anakin.
Right.
He's
okay.
Really bad at
it. Here's the thing that bugged me. I overall really liked this show. I thought Reva's story was interesting, even if her motivation seemed to change episode to episode.
I actually kind of like that they let her redeem herself at the very end of it. Like she couldn't pull it off at the end. She couldn't do it.
I did too, but it didn't make her story arc made no sense to me. She's the most evil person. No, she's conflicted. No, she's gonna help with Vader. No, she's evil again. No, she's not.
Uncle Owen's looking at her like, "Wait, you're just gonna give him back?"
Yeah.
What?
This show actually didn't have enough episodes for her arc, which was or didn't spend enough time with her.
I agree
because she picked the worst time to try and attack Vader, because this would have been the time to attack Vader.
Yep.
Like she didn't wait until he was wounded, like she said she was gonna.
Right. She just went at him. Yeah.
And then she's going up against Owen and Aunt Beru that feel like they know they're going to die to stormtroopers later. They're trying to make up for it now.
Yes. So here's the thing that bothered me. They went to all the trouble to get Liam Neeson to reprise his role as Qui-Gon Jinn.
For a nothing scene.
He shows up at the end. He's like, come on, follow me. I'm like, you had this whole thing of him. he's about to kill Anakin, or he's about to kill Darth Vader. Darth Vader says, "Anakin's dead. I killed him," and pays off the whole like Star Wars. That's when he says,
Have Qui-Gon show up then.
Exactly, and tell him not to kill him.
Yeah.
And tell him not to do it, because then that would make sense.
Right? And I don't understand why they didn't do it, because Obi-Wan's decision not to kill Anakin here makes no sense. He has forced himself into this place where he's gonna kill Anakin, and we know, because he doesn't, how much bad shit happens.
Well, he even says, no matter which way it ends, with one of us walks off this planet.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing in the fight that would suggest to you that his mindset has changed at all.
Like, what changed his mind? He hears Anakin's dead, so you're not usually even killing your friend. What the fuck? Why didn't he kill him? I don't understand.
Avenge your friend.
It did not get across what changed in his mind to let Anakin go again. He even called him Darth, like he accepted his friend was dead, which would mean that it would be easier to kill him. And Randy, you're 100% correct. Qui-Gon showing up then, telling him that Anakin needs to play a part in the future or whatever,
right. Yeah,
and copping out that way would have been perfect.
Would have worked.
That would have been like, oh,
yeah.
It's kind of also kind of dumb, but in a Star Wars kind of dumb way of like, no, he's got to fulfill his destiny of like killing the Emperor, but way down the line.
I don't expect everything to pay off. I understand that these movies are basically almost 50 years old, and that they're having to do a lot of work to make all the lines work. Like
they could hit some of the layups though.
But that one's an easy one. Yeah, that's because like I don't mind that like Leia's relationship and Obi-Wan's relationship doesn't make any sense later in the movies now based on what we've seen. Like her reaching out to him in Star Wars now makes much less sense. She's like, "You served my father." He's like, "Remember when you were my best Jedi buddy?" And she never calls him General anytime in this. She doesn't call him General, which is what she calls him in the movie. Like they could have. One of the things the MCU does really well, and this is the secret of any shared universe thing, is to go back and see what has gone before, and when you're setting up your other stories, whether you're telling prequel stories or sequel stories, line in that stuff so that everything looks like a plan. And they had all the stuff here.
Here's the difference between the MCU and Star Wars. MCU loves to go back and find their mistakes and then pretend that they were intentional choices.
Right.
Like, but you didn't know about this.
Right.
So actually, Star Wars likes to go back and double down on something and say it wasn't a mistake.
Yeah.
And that's so annoying.
Yeah, it is.
And now we have to give Leia this holster because we can't get out of one of these fucking stories without giving one of the people their goddamn gun or whatever possession. It's like, oh, I gave you a holster. There's no blaster in it. Well, you're 10 years old. It's still weird to give her a holster, dude.
It is a weird call.
That's the merchandising company
what
going,
the fuck
how
goes
much?
In that? Like,
there's also, and don't get me wrong,
the merchandising people thought, how much is the holster and the gun going to cost? It's like, you think we could just sell the holster? I can make that happen.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of fun fan service things, like Obi-Wan showing up for Princess Leia, and her reaction was genuinely touching. I love seeing her in the buns and the little outfit that she had. It was cute.
No, there's things that work about this where they really lean into the new hope of it all. Where it falls down is where they double down on prequel shit.
Yeah,
that they have to do all the time.
I think that's true.
And now, like, it even makes it less make sense of how the Jedi are somehow like no one believes they exist in A New Hope. Of like, okay, well, a bunch of you fucking saw a bunch of Jedi, at least like with red lightsabers. You saw Inquisitors all over the goddamn place.
Yes, yeah.
So it is not mystical, like ancient. Like someone who saw one. Like you may not have saw one. Someone who's did though.
That said, what works about the show really works. Like you said, that lightsaber fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, even though it makes no sense that they had it, and then when they show up again in episode 4, it's like, wait a minute, you guys have had this fight before. Like, none of this makes sense anymore. And then there's lots of little things like that.
But this one looks way cooler. We're both a lot younger in this one, so we can do more stuff.
Yeah. And so, I think they're having to dance around a lot of weird continuity stuff, and I thought they did a generally pretty good job overall. I mean, you have to acknowledge that they're working with lots of continuity that doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
and they did their best work with it.
I guess I gotta disagree on the working around the continuity thing because I think they did great with some of the elements they had, but as far as continuity, they will never, ever get away from this prequel bullshit.
Oh no, they're never going to. Yeah.
And they gotta stop. Let's get away from the Skywalker storyline. We gotta ditch it. Like I know there's good parts in it. We gotta throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, the baby's drowned. That is a dead baby in there.
But I think that's the only way to enjoy Star Wars at this point is to acknowledge you have to look at it, and it's kind of like what you watched the last part of Lost. You got to look at it and be like, okay, some of this shit isn't going to make sense. That's just part of being Star Wars. Like that's it, because they're never going to fix that, even at its best. Even like Mandalorian, there's stuff where you're like, wait a minute, is that consistent with what's gone before? And like, nah, man, nobody cares. Fuck it. Like that is going to be their answer. They're never going to change, and you can either get on board with that or accept that you don't like Star Wars. I think that's all there is to it. And either one is a valid choice.
I would completely agree.
Yeah, either one is a valid choice. Les's choice is a totally valid choice of like, fuck this noise. This doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Les was cackling for the last 2 straight minutes.
That deeply summarizes my journey of the.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You're either
just Randy's subtle like. They've had to dance around a few continuity errors.
Sure. Yeah. I undersold that by a bit. Yeah.
That is an understatement.
I mean, sure. I every time I'm watching these shows, even when I'm enjoying it, I enjoyed this, but I had people post like, "Oh, this was amazing." I'm like, "Was it amazing?" Because honestly, the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking, she has lines in the movies that make no sense with what you're showing me right now. Like none of this makes any sense, and I can't turn off my brain entirely for all of that, which means every time I'm watching Star Wars and I say I liked it, it comes with an asterisk. And that is not the case with the MCU stuff.
Oh, so you guys haven't gone and watched A New Hope on Disney Plus since this came out? Because actually what they did is they went back and changed the line. So now she says, Obi-Wan, you served me in those episodes of the Obi-Wan miniseries.
See, I'm not sure if you're joking. We have a long history of people going back and tinkering with those fucking movies.
It's true, yeah. They're going to change the lines so that Princess Leia says stuff that lines up, and also Cy Snoodles is going to show up in Ben's cave and do a song and dance number. So,
Frosty.
Did I lose you guys?
Randy? Hello?
He's frozen.
Oh, shit.
Oh, he's gone. All right, well, we've lost Randy. We'll get him back for the Patreon. Till the next time, TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.